Mad Father is a psychological horror exploration game created by Fenn, with the remake published by Playism. The story revolves around 11-year-old Aya Drevis, who reflects on her mother's death a year prior as she explores her mansion home. Aya aims to save her scientist father, Alfred Drevis, from the ghosts haunting the mansion, while evading malevolent supernatural entities and aiding the benevolent ones. Set in northern Germany, the game touches on themes such as child innocence, trauma and repression, obsession and redemption, and the child's unwavering loyalty to her father despite the questionable nature of his actions. As Aya uncovers the dark secrets that plague their household, Mad Father weaves a sentimental yet deeply disturbing and unsettling narrative. And in this video, I will explore some of the psychological themes presented through the characters and the storyline. As always, this video will be full of spoilers, so keep that in mind. And if you enjoy this content, remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. So sit back, get cozy, and join me as we explore Mad Father's psychological horror at midnight. Mad Father was originally a freeware game created using the Wolf RPG editor in 2012, with a Steam remake released in 2016 and a Switch version in 2020. The remakes feature improved graphics, additional tips to reduce confusion, and the addition of Blood Mode, which provides new information to fill in missing pieces of the storyline. For those unfamiliar, Wolf RPG Editor and RPG Maker are video game engines known for being beginner-friendly due to their low learning curve. This accessibility has led to a lot of games being developed, but many are of low quality. Mad Father is a standout gem among these, and is widely regarded as one of the most popular games created with Wolf RPG Editor. The game is sometimes listed as published by Miscreant's Room, which may consist solely of the developer Fenn, though this is unclear. Other than also creating Myuu, which is set in the same universe as Mad Father, information on Fenn is limited, at least from what I could find. Fenn maintains a blog and 2 X accounts where they share concept art for both games, as well as other creative projects, including webcomics and another Wolf RPG editor game called Dudley and the Mysterious Tower. Despite the lack of information about the developer, Mad Father is beloved for its storyline, well-written characters, and its ability to evoke lasting fear without resorting to frequent jump scares. And with that, let's get into the game itself. I'll provide a summary of each chapter just in case you've either never heard of it or would like a refresher. I did use this walkthrough on Steam to play this game, so I will group the summary by the parts the guide listed. But feel free to skip to this section if you just want the analysis. The game begins with Aya Drevis contemplating the anniversary of her mother's death. Her father, Alfred Drevis, promises to visit her grave with her the following morning. Later, as Aya hears screams coming from her father's laboratory, she confesses that she was aware of her father's affair with his assistant Maria while her mother was still alive, as well as his role as a mad scientist conducting horrific experiments on both animals and humans. Despite this knowledge, Aya chooses to ignore it out of love for her father. Back in her bedroom and unable to sleep, Aya expresses her dislike for Maria and recalls a memory of a doll her father gave her. As she tries to settle down, she hears a scream and, believing her father might be in danger, decides to check on him. Aya doesn't get far before encountering 2 horrifying corpses and then being startled by a young blonde boy with a missing eye in another room. Returning to her bedroom, she meets a mysterious, well-dressed salesman named Ogre. He reveals that a curse has struck the mansion, causing the corpses of her father's former test subjects to roam the halls, seeking revenge on Alfred. Despite Ogre's attempt to confront her with the harsh reality that Alfred must face the consequences of his cruel actions, Aya remains determined to help her father. Ogre comments on Aya's ignorance about the suffering of those who have died as she leaves. As Aya explores the mansion's first 2 floors, she must find a way to access the basement where her father's lab is located. During her search, she collects gems that unlock additional storylines. She also encounters various ghostly entities, some of which are not hostile. Aya helps some of these spirits or corpses move on to the afterlife by completing tasks like finding a pendant or reattaching a head to a body. In the archive room, Aya reads several texts, including a story about a girl who, while searching for her family, ends up destroying the world. This prompts Aya to reflect on her own fears of being left alone if her father were to die. Another text contains diary entries about a research researcher's quest for eternal beauty, hinting that this is the research her father has been pursuing. After solving puzzles to open a safe in her father's bedroom, Aya finds a lamp and her mother's perfume, the latter of which she keeps as a good luck charm. As Aya explores the mansion, she discovers rooms that have been slightly altered. One such room features a bloody German message on the floor that translates to "Your father murderer." Eventually, Aya teams up with her bunny Snowball to retrieve the final item needed to access the central basement entrance, which involves burning a pile of screaming dolls with a torch. In the basement, Aya finds Maria nearly unconscious in a chaotic laboratory. Ogre warns her that her mother's ghost is also seeking revenge and has captured her father. Despite her father's experiments, Aya wonders if her mother's revenge instead stems from his affair with Maria. Determined, Aya continues deeper into the basement, assisting more corpses and equipping a mini chainsaw to reach previously inaccessible areas. She also enters Maria's bedroom and chooses to read her diary, which later helps to easily unlock all of the game's endings. The diary reveals Maria's backstory as a former beggar who was initially taken in by Alfred for experimentation, but later became his assistant and fell in love with him. As Aya encounters and helps more ghosts and corpses, one corpse shows her a vision of her final moments before being killed by Alfred. Stunned but determined, Aya proceeds to the lower levels of the basement. As she delves deeper into the basement, she encounters increasingly bizarre situations with her father's former test subjects and faces more puzzles as well as rooms she must carefully navigate to avoid harm. During her exploration, Aya has another flashback of her mother asking her to promise to protect her father out of love, regardless of his actions. This memory suggests that her mother might have known about the experiments, but Aya remains committed to her promise as she searches for him. In the present, Aya encounters the blonde boy with the missing eye once more. Acting on instructions from an unknown source, he urges her to escape, but she insists on staying to save her father. Maria then appears, throwing daggers at the boy and advising Aya to flee while she searches for Alfred. Another flashback provides background on the boy. Employed by Alfred to manage the mansion, he was considered part of the Drevis family and assigned the role of caring for Aya as a little sister. Aya leaves the boy behind and continues to explore the basement, assisting ghosts and solving puzzles along the way. The final puzzles involve recreating scenes from the Room of Memories, which Aya accesses by opening a diary in the archive room. These memories depict an unknown boy whose desire to kill grows stronger with age, culminating in a murder spree as an adult. Reenacting the final scene allows Aya to progress to the third level of the basement. Now in the deepest level, Aya collapses from exhaustion after battling a withered corpse that begged her to end its suffering. This triggers a memory of her mother before Aya awakens in a dilapidated bedroom with a mischievous corpse girl who steals her mother's perfume. Aya later finds the perfume and uses it to navigate a rat-infested hallway. But before navigating that, a bloody message on the wall reads, "You said I'd be family. You lied." Aya then moves through a large room with a killer doll and finds a door blocked by a small creepy doll. The mischievous corpse girl reappears, instructing Aya to destroy the creepy doll to proceed before guiding her to an incinerator area. There, Aya discovers a fallen corpse girl who resembles the mischievous girl. This prompts a memory of the girl being a beggar taken in by Alfred under the guise of joining the Drevis family before she too falls victim to his experiments. Aya then proceeds to search for the key to the incinerator room, which has been swallowed by a diseased wolf-like creature. Solving a series of puzzles, Aya obtains the key and uses it to access the incinerator room where she burns the creepy doll, thus removing the invisible barrier blocking the door she had been trying to open. Before she can proceed, she is confronted by the doll her father had gifted her, who questions her decision to save her father with the claim that he'll only continue to hurt other people. Aya responds saying she can make him change his ways and then enters the next room. Upon entering the door, Aya encounters a large portal. Ogre explains that it leads to another world and questions Aya's determination to save her father, warning that the reality she faces may be too harsh. Undeterred, Aya accepts a vial of magic water from Ogre, which he claims can halt the curse and aid her parents. Stepping through the portal, Aya arrives in a place called Dark Space, where she finds an unconscious Maria, a semi-conscious Alfred, and her mother as a vengeful ghost. Her mother reveals that her desire for revenge is primarily due to Alfred's affair with Maria and attempts to open a portal to drag Alfred into the afterlife. Aya intervenes and, recalling her conversation with Ogre, must choose between fulfilling her mother's wishes or saving her father. If Aya grants her mother's wish, Alfred is dragged away by her mother. Aya then awakens in a secret doll room with a bloodied statue behind a curtain. After reflecting on her father's death and the curse being lifted, Aya resolves to move on. However, Maria decides to continue Alfred's legacy and makes Aya her next victim, thus resulting in Bad Ending 1. Bad Ending 2 and True Ending both involve Aya choosing to save her father. Aya uses the magic water on her mother, causing her to vanish and bringing Aya and Alfred back to that same doll room. In this room, Aya's ghostly mother uses her remaining power to show Aya a vision where Alfred reveals that his research on eternal beauty involves killing his victims and turning them into dolls, believing aging is dirty. Alfred also reveals Aya as his next target. Aya's mother, overhearing all this, threatens to take Aya away, prompting Alfred to kill her in a fit of rage. Returning to reality, Aya discovers her mother's body entombed in the statue, prompting Alfred to chase her with a chainsaw. Maria, tasked with finding Aya, loses track of her, leading Alfred to attack Maria with the chainsaw before leaving. At this point, the other two endings diverge based on Aya's decision to help Maria. Aya's refusal to help Maria triggers Bad Ending 2, where Alfred eventually catches her in the chapel and kills her. The final scene shows Alfred placing a dolled Aya on a throne in a doll room, reflecting on her now eternal beauty. The true end follows Aya helping Maria, who returns the favor when Alfred attempts to attack Aya in the chapel. Aided by the blonde boy with the missing eye, Aya, Maria, and Snowball head out of the mansion so that he can set the mansion ablaze and prevent any future scientists from continuing Alfred's research. Aya then collects a book with unknown contents before leaving with Maria, which possibly might be her father's research on eternal beauty. Back at the mansion, Ogre appears beside Alfred and comments on humanity's folly before offering Alfred the chance to continue his research if he agrees to go with him. The final scene shifts to a remote cabin where an older Aya runs a free clinic, helping a poor girl named Jean. Meanwhile, Maria is seen in the next room beside a group of dolls, suggesting that Aya has followed in her father's footsteps by continuing his research into turning victims into dolls. Unlocking all the gems and endings reveals two new storylines, Blood Mode and If Mode. Blood Mode begins with an adult Aya in her free clinic where she tells Maria about a mysterious fruit given to her by a hooded woman. Ignoring Maria's warnings, Aya eats the fruit, causing her to pass out and awaken in the Drevis mansion on the night of her mother's death anniversary. This mode largely mirrors normal mode, with slight differences in cutscenes and some puzzles or sections that can be skipped. The only ending involves Aya, instead of being chainsawed by Alfred, embracing him and pouring the magic water on him, causing him to collapse. Aya then has a heartfelt monologue where she tells her father that she will live and be happy, before waking up in her cabin in the present day with Maria, revealing that it was all a dream. Blood Mode also provides additional information about Aya's mother, Monica Drevis, and her true role in the story. In Monica's Room of Memories, Aya discovers passages detailing her mother's fascination with murder and her continuation of the Drevis family's research into eternal beauty through torturous experiments on humans. It is revealed that Monica, not Alfred, was the original Drevis, and Alfred might have taken her last name after they married. A love letter from Monica implies she fell in love with someone who tried to kill her, presumably Alfred, and invited him to her mansion, which used to house a cult before her family acquired it. Honoring her grandparents' wishes, Monica gave birth to Aya, initially hoping to raise her as her successor. This backstory clarifies the conflict between Alfred and Monica over Aya's fate. Monica wanted Aya to continue the research into eternal beauty, while Alfred, wanting to preserve her innocence, sought to turn her into a doll and continue the research himself. Alfred's affair with Maria further fueled Monica's anger, as she might have believed Alfred was trying to usurp the Drevis legacy. In the end, Aya shares a heartfelt moment with Maria, and they vow to stay together as they continue running the clinic, concluding the Blood Mode sequence. If Mode is a much shorter sequence that follows the perspective of the blonde boy with the missing eye toward the end of Normal Mode. After Alfred is defeated in the chapel, Aya collapses, and Maria and the youth bring her back to her room to rest until she can leave. Maria questions whether the boy is truly a corpse, and the boy then explores 3 rooms in the mansion. In the reception room, the boy is greeted by a ghostly Monica by the fireplace, who asks him to say goodbye to Aya for her. The boy reflects on why Monica saved him, referring to a scene in Blood Mode where she revives him after Alfred ripped out his eye, implying the boy isn't actually dead. In the cafeteria, the boy encounters Ogre, who muses on his fascination with humans and the lengths they'll go to for love. The boy is offended by Ogre's implication that the night's tragedies were merely a spectacle, but Ogre vanishes shortly after. In the bathroom, the boy faces a ghostly old man in a bloody bathtub who was once a servant at the Drevis mansion. The man recounts his failed attempt to escape after discovering the experiments, noting that Monica was always one step ahead of him. He also reveals that Monica brainwashed Alfred and is truly an evil woman. The boy defends Monica, insisting that she genuinely loved Aya. Returning to the central hall, the boy meets with Aya and Maria, who tell him they've decided to leave the mansion and start a new life. The boy warns Maria about Ogre before they leave and sets the mansion ablaze. Outside the mansion, the boy converses with Aya's doll, who asks if he'll follow Aya and Maria. The boy decides not to, not wanting to be a reminder of their past, and confirms he's not a corpse. The doll suggests that the boy and Aya might meet again through fate and questions what he would do if Aya became like her parents. The boy replies that he tried to stop her and then he sets out on his own, ending the If Mode sequence. Mad Father explores the moral complexities of empathy for human life while also examining the dynamics of a highly dysfunctional and mentally unstable family. At its core is Aya Drevis, a seemingly innocent and lighthearted protagonist who is revealed to be a deeply troubled child. She is unwavering in her determination to help her father, despite his horrific actions and the numerous warnings from others who try to make her see that he must be held accountable. But how does the legacy of the Drevis family shape each of these characters? Let's take a closer look. Central to the Drevis family legacy is their research on eternal beauty, which involves experimenting on humans and ultimately turning them into dolls to be displayed around the mansion. These dolls, along with reanimated corpses and ghostly apparitions, are brought back to life by a curse Monica cast on the mansion on the first anniversary of her death as a form of retribution against Alfred for his atrocities. As Aya journeys to save her father, she encounters these entities, some of which are dangerous, while others seek her help, share their backstories, or challenge her devotion to her father, hoping she will leave him to atone for his crimes. The malevolent entities, such as the reanimated dolls, corpses, and ghosts, are the most common in the mansion. They harbor deep bitterness toward Alfred for what he did to them, which often manifests in violent behavior towards anyone who crosses their path. Aya, though not their intended target, can become a victim of their rage if she is not careful. This concept of reanimated spirits seeking retribution is common in European folklore. Given that the game is set in Germany, these entities might be referred to as Vedegänger, or one who walks again. This term can be used broadly to describe undead entities, similar to the French revenant. Another fitting term is Raschgeister, meaning vengeful spirits, which could also apply to these victims. On the other hand, there are entities in the game that may have been directed towards Aya because she's still young and potentially capable of changing her mind about her father. In German folklore, these entities might be classified as unruhige Geister, or restless spirits, referring to souls that seek to resolve what keeps them bound to the earthly realm. These include characters like the Mourning Mother and Colina, Eyeless Girl, Headless Man, Hungry Boy, and Mute Subject, who seem to be trying to develop empathy in Aya so she can understand the effects of her father's experiments. Some souls, such as Colina, Mute Subject, and Inez, share their backstory or final moments with Aya, potentially to humanize the victims of Alfred's experiments and help her grasp the true horror of what her father has done. These visions serve as a way for Aya to witness firsthand accounts of her father's betrayal, where he lured victims with the promise of becoming part of the Drevis family, only to end their lives for for his amusement. Other souls directly challenge Aya's determination to save her father, questioning whether he is worth loving and saving. In her youthful innocence, Aya believes she can change her father if she saves him, a belief that none of the souls share. The creepy doll blocks Aya from proceeding to the portal room, challenging her belief that she can truly save her father. Aya's doll questions her motives for wanting to save her father even after learning about his experiments, while her own mother breaks her promise to protect Alfred, further challenging Aya's resolve. An old man even comments on Monica, suggesting she was the mastermind who brainwashed Alfred, positioning her as the greater threat. Two characters who also challenge Aya belong to a different category. Ogre, the mysterious salesman who appears randomly throughout the game, questions the reasoning behind Aya's choices, posing as a curious observer while reflecting on the complexities of human dynamics. His character is morally ambiguous though, as he offers Alfred a chance to continue his research, which raises questions about Ogre's true intentions as a supernatural figure intrigued by human evil. The blonde boy with the missing eye, named Robin according to the Mad Father wiki, is another character who challenges Aya. Initially portrayed as one of the reanimated corpses, Robin is revealed in the game's If mode to be a living human who was saved by Monica's ghost after Alfred carved out his eye and nearly left him for dead. Monica directs Robin to help Aya, which he does when she and Maria flee the mansion at the end of the game. But Robin's perspective is complicated. He defends Monica, believing her to be a loving mother to Aya, despite the old man's argument that Monica was the one who brainwashed Alfred into performing the inhumane experiments. It's as though Robin's situation mirrors Aya's. Just as she blindly follows her father despite overwhelming evidence of his cruelty, Robin clings to his belief in Monica's goodness, possibly due to his feelings of gratitude for saving his life. While Robin's past is not fully explored in the game, it is implied that he once had a family, including parents and a younger sister, who died in a tragic event that left him orphaned and homeless. Alfred took him in to work at the mansion and told him to treat Aya as family. Even after Alfred's brutal treatment, Monica's ghost saves him, which may have led to feelings of attachment and cognitive dissonance. Robin's selective perception allows him to view Monica as a loving mother while minimizing or being unaware of her darker side. This is symbolized by his missing eye, which could represent his inability to see Monica's true nature, while his remaining eye represents his awareness of Alfred's evil. Despite his doubts, Robin decides to keep his distance from Aya, mentioning his hope that she will not become like her parents, since she has witnessed the victim's suffering firsthand. Unfortunately, his hopes are proven wrong as seen at the end of normal mode, but for now, let's move on to discuss another victim. Discovered as a homeless street beggar by Alfred, Maria was originally brought to the mansion to serve as his next test subject. However, after proving her usefulness, she became his assistant. Seeing this as an act of undeserved salvation, Maria developed a deep loyalty to Alfred, eventually leading to a romantic involvement that began his extramarital affair with her. Maria plays a crucial role in the story's conclusion, as reading her diary is necessary to unlock the true ending, and Aya's fate is directly influenced by Maria's involvement or lack thereof. Depending on the outcome, Alfred may die, prompting Maria to experiment on Aya to honor Alfred's wishes, or she may become incapacitated, allowing Alfred to turn Aya into a doll. Alternatively, Maria may defect and defend Aya from her father after Aya aids her following Alfred's betrayal. Maria's moral ambiguity may be rooted in her traumatic upbringing, psychological dependence, and survival mechanisms developed from her disenfranchised background. These psychological and sociological factors might help explain her conflicting loyalties and behaviors, so let's examine her further. As an orphan, Maria likely suffered from deep insecurities and a constant fear of abandonment. When Alfred saved her from this life, she may have formed a strong psychological dependence on him. Her loyalty to him might also be a form of survival mechanism. By helping Alfred, Maria secures her place in the mansion and avoids the fate of other test subjects, making survival her priority over conventional moral considerations. Her relationship with Alfred likely further clouded her judgment, potentially due to Stockholm Syndrome. The emotional bond and psychological dependence she formed with Alfred after he brought her to the mansion may have blurred her sense of right and wrong. Given her lack of autonomy and power in her early life, she might have felt she had no choice but to comply with Alfred's commands. As his research assistant, she may have internalized Alfred's worldview, leading her to continue his experiments in one of the bad endings. But despite these influences, Maria may still recognize her actions as morally wrong, but cognitive dissonance could prevent her from fully confronting this. When she was first imprisoned by Alfred, she was drawn to helping another inmate by tending to his wounds, which led to her promotion as Alfred's assistant. She also cares for Aya in subtle ways throughout the game, which suggests she justifies her actions as necessary or out of loyalty to those who have saved her. By compartmentalizing her actions and viewing them as a means of loyalty and survival, Maria avoids fully acknowledging the ethical implications of her involvement. After Alfred attacks her, and Aya shows undeserved kindness by aiding her in the true ending, Maria's loyalty shifts. This may be because Aya now represents a new source of stability and care for Maria, especially after realizing that Alfred never truly cared for her. Maria's shift in allegiance can be seen as her seeking a new protector in Aya, continuing the cycle of dependency she began with Alfred, extending into Aya's adulthood where she carries on her father's legacy of human experimentation. So, is Maria a victim or a perpetrator? Maria is both a victim of her circumstances, being orphaned, homeless, and exploited by Alfred, and a perpetrator, engaging in Alfred's human experimentation. While her actions are influenced by her traumatic past, she eventually aligns with Alfred's unethical practices. Her moral ambiguity stems from this duality, shaped by her victimhood, but also exercising agency in ways that perpetuate harm. So her transition from victim to complicit actor goes to show the complex interplay between circumstance and choice, illustrating how deeply entrenched patterns of abuse and power can corrupt an individual's moral compass. Since Monica and Alfred share similarly disturbed traits, it makes sense to examine them together. Throughout most of the game, players are led to believe that Alfred is the primary mad scientist conducting the human experiments, while his wife Monica passively cared for Aya and maintained the mansion while she was alive. In reality, Monica is the one who originally carried the Drevis name and the controversial legacy first established by her ancestors. Her marriage to Alfred only intensified the experiments initiated by Monica's family, though they each had slightly different visions for the future of that legacy. Let's start with Alfred. Some of Alfred's early life is revealed in his diary, including fascination with killing animals, much to his mother's distress. His obsession escalated over time, eventually leading him to kill his own mother and wipe the blood from her face to preserve her beauty. Initially overcome by guilt and fear, young Alfred fled to another region, where he eventually continued to kill people, driven by the thrill of ending lives and observing their final moments. At some point, he met Monica, and they married. Alfred took on the Drevis name, and they had Aya. Monica's background is primarily revealed in the Blood Mode playthrough, where Aya reads through her mother's diary entries and letters to unknown recipients. After her grandfather's death, Monica inherited the Drevis family's forbidden research, tasked with pursuing eternal beauty. Her grandmother, however, believes the legacy was about bearing children to continue the Drevis name through future generations. In an effort to fulfill both grandparents' wishes, Monica gave birth to Aya, intending to raise her as the next heir to the family's research. Monica, as an adult, corresponded with various prisoners who had committed heinous acts, hoping to meet them and discuss their crimes, possibly searching for a suitable partner. One love letter describes how Monica fell in love with a man who nearly killed her when they first met, prompting her to invite him to her inherited mansion, which once belonged to an unidentified religious group. This man is strongly implied to be Alfred, who agreed to marry Monica, inherit the Drevis name, and continue human experimentation. But their differing intentions for raising Aya ultimately led to Alfred ending Monica's life. Monica wanted Aya to continue human experimentation, grooming her from a young age to have little regard for living things. Her diary entries reveal her excitement over Aya developing traits resembling antisocial personality disorder, reflecting Monica's own likely traits, which were instilled in her by her upbringing. This is partly revealed in one of her memories, where she denounces her aunt for taking her life out of shame of the family's questionable research. Alfred, however, disagreed with raising Aya to possess such traits. He elevated her status to near idolization, seeking to preserve her childlike innocence and purity. Despite his own personality displaying similar ASPD tendencies, he didn't want the same for his daughter. This contrast in perspectives from both parents reflects similar tendencies that manifest in different ways. Both Alfred and Monica exhibit narcissistic tendencies, where they view Aya not as an independent individual, but as an extension of themselves. Alfred's narcissistic extension of Aya reflects his desire to create and preserve a perfect vision of himself through her. He projects his idealized self-image onto her and tries to control her perception. His desire for control may stem from an unconscious recognition of the wrongness of his actions. Instead of addressing his flaws, he projects his fears onto Aya and attempts to exert total control by turning her into an inanimate object, preserving her in a state of perfection forever. This form of psychological preservation might be Alfred dissociating from reality, rationalizing that turning Aya into a doll is an act of love and protection, believing he is acting in her best interest. Monica's narcissistic extension of Aya reflects her desire to mold Aya into her own image and control her legacy by living on through her daughter's actions. Her drive for control may be motivated by her pursuit of immortality through the intergenerational transmission of trauma and values to Aya. She convinces herself that she is acting in Aya's best interest by preparing her to continue the horrific legacy rooted in familial indoctrination. This pathological altruism gives Monica the justification to carry on her family's legacy through Aya, viewing her daughter as a vessel to perpetuate her own identity and beliefs. Given the traits of both Monica and Alfred, what kind of character does this create in their daughter? Aya Drevis, the 11-year-old protagonist, initially seems like a character we want to root for, despite her repeated attempts to defend her father and her claims that she hopes to change him. Some part of us might believe that Aya is unaware of the full extent of his actions and just needs gentle persuasion to see his malice. However, Aya was not raised in an environment where empathy and compassion were valued. Her character, even as she matures into adulthood, likely reflects a mix of genetic predisposition and environmental influence, with her parents' conflicting beliefs creating deep internal turmoil. Given Monica and Alfred's tendencies, it's plausible that Aya inherited traits of antisocial personality disorder, which were amplified by Monica's indoctrination. This led to a learned behavior in Aya that normalized killing and unethical experimentation. Yet, Aya's character seems to display cognitive dissonance. She demonstrates selective empathy, evident in her willingness to help certain ghosts resolve their issues, and her belief that she can reform her father's ways. Aya continues to show this as an adult in Blood Mode, echoing her desire to help Kalina reunite with her mother. She even cherished her pet bunny Snowball. But contrastingly, flashbacks reveal Aya showing her father a bird she killed, mirroring his childhood behavior of harming small animals. This suggests that her parents instilled conflicting values in her. Alfred discouraging her from killing and urging her to treat everything with care, while Monica encouraged her to embrace those darker desires. As a result, Aya embodies both her parents' values, selectively adopting aspects of each without fully considering the moral implications. This selective identity may explain why she acknowledged Alfred's affair with Maria, but fixated more on her mother's desire for revenge, as Aya had promised to protect her father, no matter his actions. As for her father, Aya's relationship with him is complex. Flashbacks suggest that, in her eyes, Alfred was a normal, loving father during her early years. Despite his atrocities, Aya may have formed a trauma bond with him. While trauma bonding typically involves an abused person forming an emotional attachment to their abuser, Aya's bond with Alfred might stem from his self-idolization of her. He instilled his values in her, aiming to mold her into his idealized image. When Aya no longer fit this image, he sought to preserve her as a doll, a way to exert total control over her. Did Aya's parents truly love her? It's difficult to say. Their extreme mental instability blurs the line between love and obsession. It's this confusion that truly drives them, and perhaps Aya herself, to madness. Mad Father presents an interesting exploration of a deeply troubled family, covering complex themes like parental acceptance, grief, loss, and retribution. While the title hints at a deranged father figure, the story primarily focuses on the intricate relationship between a young daughter and her father. Though most family dynamics don't involve such extreme situations, like parents conducting cruel experiments and a child inheriting their murderous tendencies, many can relate to the desire for parental approval, even when our parents are morally flawed. However, it's important to seek help and guidance from trusted individuals or professionals if you're dealing with a dysfunctional family relationship, especially if you want to avoid repeating the mistakes your parents made, and especially if you have a mad father. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's anything you feel I've missed from a psychological analysis perspective, or have a different view about any of the characters, please let me know in the comments below. I'm interested to hear your take on the subject. I'm also open to hear any suggestions you have for next games I should cover. Otherwise, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next game.